Good? Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to call to order the Washoe County Board of County Commissioners meeting for February 21st. We will start with a salute to the flag. Mr. Chesney, will you lead us?
Sure will. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Madam Clerk, would you give us a roll call, please?
Vaughn Hartung, Chair.
Here.
Alexis Hill, Vice Chair.
Here.
Michael Clark. Mari Luz Garcia.
Here.
Jean Herman.
Here.
County Manager Eric Brown.
Present.
Nate Edwards, District Attorney.
Here.
And I'm Jan Galassini, your County Clerk. Sir, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Manager, would you take us into item number 3?
Item 3 is public comment. Comment heard under this item will be limited to 3 minutes per person and may pertain to matters both on and off the commission agenda. Commission will also hear public comment during individual action items with comment limited to 3 minutes per person. Comments are to be made to the commission as a whole.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Madam Clerk, would you please call public comment?
First up, we have Elise Weatherly, followed by Donna Clontz.
Welcome, Ms. Weatherly.
Good morning. It's nice to see you. What I was thinking is like, how about that weather, huh? Is it like all natural, or is it possible that God is sending us some signs to start paying attention? Could be either one, right? Also, I think I've mentioned this before, but a doctor who actually likes me as a friend and a person and a musician asked me repeatedly what would make me happy. And I think I told you guys that Psalm 36:12 would make me happy. See how the evildoers lie fallen, thrown down and not able to rise. Right? So as reading through God's word, and by the way, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, but to fear him, you have to acknowledge that he exists, and then you have to know who he is. And why would he be feared? Because he's got a lot of power. So I found something that really bothers me with this community, and it bothers me with people in charge. And it's from Proverbs. It says, "He who justifies the wicked and he who condemns the righteous, both of them are like an abomination to God." And, you know, we have these love churches placed, right? God says, oh, he just loves everything, and everything that you do is fine. And then I read his word, and I'm going, no, he hates certain things. Do you know that he hates false accusations? Do you know that he hates false allegations? Do you know that he hates lies and slander and people stomping on people that are trying to do what's right? He hates that. And so it's like, well, what am I supposed to do about it, right? I guess the only thing I can do is tell you, if somebody's doing something wrong, they're going to be held into account. And it's time probably for somebody to turn around and go, what I have done to you is wrong. Perhaps we could make some arrangements to fix it, right? And the other thing too is that, I guess I can't show you pictures unless I have copies of them, sorry. There's just so many things to say, and sometimes I forget what I'm saying. All I know is that Deanna Spicula she was one of the ones that was attacked here. And I'm going, she seems like a really nice person. Why isn't the FBI doing some follow-up and research to find out who those death threats came from? Because I don't think it's illegal to threaten somebody with death threats. Anyway, I found out that she's in a place where I want to go, which is the state of Nevada, not to work, just to have a public comment. But in the meantime, in this community, we have people like her husband that's one of the best bass players I've ever seen in my life. And I know a guy that's going to go work with, David Coverdale with Whitesnake that introduced me to this guy. He introduces me to all these really good musicians so that I can make really good music. Oh, by the way, I couldn't figure out what shirt to wear today. Should I wear my table tipper? Should I wear my black angry inch mob from my brother? Or should I wear the place that I went to go work after I was supposed to die?
Thank you, ma'am.
Donna Clontz, followed by Mark Newman, and I do have a handout from Ms. Clontz that I will distribute.
Welcome, Ms. Clontz.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Give us just a moment. Madam Clerk, would you start the timer, please?
Great. And I have a handout that I'd like to see on the overhead. I have a couple of things that I wanted to share with you this morning. The statistics that you see here are part of the handout that we give to the folks that are attending the resource fairs at the library that I told you about last week. We had the fourth resource fair at Northwest Library on Monday, and we had 130 people in the room. About 70 or so of them were our seniors in the community, and the rest were providers of all kinds of resources that they were there to learn about, from RTC to Washoe County Senior Services and so on. So we're doing 2 more at South Valley's Library coming up, and then 2 more in the North Valleys in June. I've also given you the latest copy of Senior Spectrum, which I encourage you, it's kind of an encyclopedia of what's going on in the senior community every month. It's a free magazine. Connie McMullen's the editor of Senior Spectrum, and there are all kinds of great information and resources in each one of those magazines. The second thing I wanted to talk to you about is the item on your agenda today. It is in consent. It is item 8D1, and I'd like to ask you to consider taking that item out of consent so that some of us here in the room can talk to you about it. We're here to ask you to postpone making a decision on appointing people to our senior advisory board. I served on that advisory board for 8 years, 6 of them as vice chair. Larry Weiss is here to talk as well. He was chair. Both of us served many other places in the community on senior issues, and we've both been involved in these things for 20-something years. You have 5 more great candidates that you can add to the 2 names you see before you today that you can then use as a pool to choose the next 3 members of our senior advisory committee or senior board. And so we'd really like to ask you to make way for a few more of those, and some of them are here today to talk to you a little bit, so that we can build the strongest, most active senior board that Washoe County's ever seen. So please consider taking it out of consent and postponing making the decision until sometime in March, after the senior advisory board can meet on these next 5 folks that are applying to join the senior board. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mark Newman, followed by Dr. Larry Weiss.
Welcome, Mr. Newman.
Good morning, Commissioners. Hope you had a good 3-day weekend. I thought he changed his name for a minute when I first got here. Nate, thought you were going to become Mary. Well, what I'd like to speak about today is Sun Valley. I've tried, and a number of residents have tried calling in to getting the potholes fixed throughout the valley. There's been some construction being done through getting fiber optics into the valley, and they didn't obviously pack the holes or anything. They just patched them in, and now they're great big holes that are throwing people's cars out of alignment. And the second thing, between the Highland Ranch Homeowners Association, General Improvement District, the sidewalks that come up off of Highland Ranch Road and down Sun Valley Drive that lead up to the Desert High Middle Schools, when they plowed all the roads, that gravel that they put on, the kids are walking and it seems like it's BBs. I was just wondering if we couldn't get one of the sweeping crews to clean the sidewalks so that the kids have a better access to getting to school and not have to worry about tripping. Thank you very much. You guys have a great day.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Larry Weiss, followed by Mac Rossi.
Welcome, sir.
Good day. I am Dr. Larry Weiss. I have been in the field of aging for about 50 years. I ran the Sanford Center for Aging at the university for about 13 years, and then when I retired, I established my own nonprofit called the Center for Healthy Aging. We are designed to add life to years, focus on the quality. I have been involved with the county as the chair of the Washoe County Senior Services Advisory Board for 6 years. I am now an advisor on that. I'm no longer chair. And I really encourage you to focus on aging and elders. We need it. Most people talk about kids, and we need to remember that we all get older, and there's a lot of people in need when they get up in those ages. I'm also here to support the holding off on the decision that you will make around 8D and the two that are proposed. We've got 5 more qualified candidates for that Senior Citizen Advisory Board, and they are good. So I would really hope that you could postpone your decision. I know you make the decision. We recommend you make the decision. And I would like to hopefully have more candidates that you can choose from that are very qualified. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mac Rossi, followed by Nicholas St. John.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Mac Rossi. I'm a resident of the city of Reno. As King Henry said to 6 of his wives, this won't take long. And I am asking you to take item 8D and not take action on it at this point. I happen to find out about the opportunities to serve on that board, and I'd like to be able to consider it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Nicholas St. John, followed by Jeff Church.
Welcome.
Good morning. For the record, Nicholas St. John. What you see here is a ruling from 1803, where it was Marbury against, I believe it was Madison. And in that Supreme Court ruling, they ruled that no legislature could make a law that would override the U.S. Constitution. I've been in here numbers of times about what I believe is an illegal search and seizure from coming in with the metal detector, or as, because I won't go through it, I'm always wanted. And so I've tried to address this before. Vaughn, I know you said last time that because it's in federal buildings and district buildings and things like that, that gives you the right to do that. This ruling does not give you the right to have a metal detector here. And the fact that it's only here for those who come into this chamber is a problem, because then it becomes harassment. So for one more time, I'm gonna demand that you remove the metal detector and leave the people alone who come into these chambers. If you guys are afraid for your life, then do whatever you need to protect yourself. In the meantime, leave the people alone. Second, I brought up at one of the meetings before the election that I had asked if you would make sure that they did not release any of the results, or what's called tallies, until the last ballot could come in. I didn't realize at the time that that was already in the NRS code. So every county in this state that released tallies before 5:01 on Saturday, it was in violation of that NRS code. Are you guys aware of that? I know you're not going to answer, but anyway, so in coming here, we keep bringing up issues and we never get anyone to talk to us. I believe at the last meeting you said you would be open to meeting with me, and so I am looking forward to a meeting with any of you. I know not more than 2 of you can, because then you'd be in violation of the open meeting law. But we need to resolve this. Also, what's good for me should be good for you guys give us 3 minutes. I think that you guys should be put on a clock and let you experience what we do, and see if you can explain to the rest of the board what you need to in 3 minutes. I'll be here to make sure that you hold that in this round. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeff Church. Thank you, sir.
Good morning, folks. I made it in the nick of time. I do have some handouts for you. Now, the front cover says the Monty Ranch drainage district. The attachment on the back is not related to that. It's related to RTC 5. On the drainage district issue, there's a warning put out by them that the city of Reno is looking to create a new stormwater utility. I want to put that on the record for anybody that lives within the city of Reno to know that we're looking at major fees. They can't call it taxes, so they call it fees. And I hope that the county commission opposes any kind of such utility. The city of Reno is not well run like the county is. The city of Reno spends money like drunken sailors, and I have a lot of respect for drunken sailors. Being an Air Force veteran, I have a lot of great friends who are drunken sailors, and they would never overspend what they have. Moving along to RTC 5, I want to commend Commissioner Mike Clark for standing up and commenting on that in the past of the need to repeal or replace RTC 5. You've heard statements that, oh, that's a legislative issue. 2 pages of legal research that says it's not. It's a enabling ordinance from the legislature that enabled the county commission to enact by county ordinance RTC 5, which is a gas increase, goes up every July 1st, approximately 2 cents, with no vote of anybody. If you bought gas in Carson City like I do, it's about 50 cents cheaper per gallon. Come next July, it'll be 52 cents cheaper. It never ends. We have to give the taxpayer some relief, as Governor Lombardo also indicated. You'll find various quotes in there. And this is from Melanie Foster, who I believe was your legal counsel at the time that RTC 5 was enacted. The Board of County Commissioners has the power to make adjustments to the increases. Once the bonds are issued, the commission will not be able to repeal the tax while the bonds are outstanding. They could pay them off and repeal the tax. And that was a quote again from Melanie Foster. It goes on and on and on. So you have the authority to do that. And I ask you to do that. We have to pay off the bonds, but you can stop the increase. That wouldn't be unreasonable. Just pass an ordinance to stop the increase so it doesn't keep going up and up and up forever. And again, I know that many of us, we intentionally go down to Carson City both to make our point and to save money and to fill up with gas down there, or to Fernley. Thank you very much. I appreciate your attention. I made it in the nick of time.
Thank you.
There's nobody else signed in.
All right, we will close public comment, bring it back to the board. Mr. Manager, that takes us to item number 4.
Item 4 is commissioners and county managers' announcements, reports, and updates to include boards and commissions updates, requests for information or topics for future agendas.
Okay. Mr. Manager, do you have any such items?
I just want to point out to the commissioners, you have item 9 today that deals with the Walmart opioid settlement. At our next meeting on the 28th, you will be receiving a presentation from our Human Services Agency on the Washoe County Opioid Action Plan, which is a follow-up to the assessment that's been done with area agencies. So in case there are any questions about that, we'll be handling that at our next meeting. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Do we need an attorney-client for item number 9, Mr. Manager or Mr. Edwards?
I don't believe that you do. Mr. Large has sent out a summary on that, and he's also here to answer questions if there are any.
Understood. I just wanted to make sure that we didn't need to potentially take a recess during that item. Okay? Commissioners, I have no one signed in. Is there anyone wishing to speak? Ms. Garcia.
In light of some of the donations that we'll be discussing today, I wanted to bring back something from the Animal Services Advisory Board meeting that took place on January 27th, and it's in relation to our seniors and how pets can be of great assistance in helping them combat loneliness and depression and poor health. So there's a program that I just wanted to share with the public. It's for low-income seniors who may need help with providing pet food or preventative pet care. And so it's available, more information is on the website, and the regional animal services accepts donations for dry or canned pet food. And just for the public to remember not to bring in ginormous bags. It needs to be under 15 pounds so that folks can get those to their cars and into their homes. And the drop-off locations are at 2825 Longley Lane. So in light of all the donations we're talking about today.
Thank you. Commissioner Clark, I have you signed in next.
Thank you, Chair Hartung. There's a few things I'd like to talk about. One of them, I guess, is that we've had a few folks make comments here this morning, and I want to talk about that item 8D1. You know, I haven't been here long enough to be a broken record. But this is the start of a broken record when I continue to have to ask for the same things. You know, we need to announce these board openings in a broader way in the future. This is just not working. This has happened time and again where we've got somebody, first of all, very few people volunteer for these positions. When we finally get somebody to step up and take the bull by the horns and volunteer for these committees, and then we've got somebody on the board who wants to make partisan politics out of this, and then they encourage their friends to apply for this, and then we have to postpone an item on the agenda because it wasn't properly noticed or people didn't get involved. You know, I'm a senior, and I can tell you that one of the fastest growing groups of folks in this county are seniors. And the seniors are kind of a nonpartisan group in that we've got a lot of independents, we've got a lot of Democrats, we've got a lot of Republicans. It's spread across all boundaries. You know, you didn't get to be a senior by partisan politics. Your party affiliation had little or nothing to do with your age. You know, your diet, your health, hereditary, a lot of other things taken into consideration add to your age, but it certainly wasn't partisan politics. So when I get somebody on a board that doesn't like Eddie because he doesn't like Mary, because he doesn't like this, and they try and get their friends to apply, it's just disheartening. The seniors need help. The seniors don't need partisan help. The seniors need people who want to help. And when we finally get somebody who wants to help, then somebody says, that's not fair. I don't like them. We're going to try and put some other people up. Well, put them all up at the same time. You know, this nickel and diming of, oh, we're going to put this on hold and vote later. It just rubs me the wrong way, I got to be honest. There's so many boards and so many volunteers out there, and there's so many vacancies. There's a lot of vacancies out there. They need to be filled. If somebody wants to volunteer their time and effort and services to help, let them get a chance to do that. Don't try and make partisan politics out of it. And that's what I'm saying. So I wanted to comment about that since we had a few folks on the public comment area. So I wanted to get that off my chest. Again, the county needs to make sure that any volunteer open positions need to be advertised in such a way that it gets the most volunteers coming forward. And partisan politics needs to go out the window when we're trying to help folks here. That's just my position on that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I'm going to jump in just real quickly here.
I'm on there again.
Oh, all right, go ahead.
Finish up with that. You know, just some general comments about the meeting today. You know, in looking at the Board of County Commission meeting schedule, we've canceled a second meeting in March. So effectively, we only have one meeting in March. I think that's wrong. Yes, I agreed to cancel the 14th meeting due to Commissioner Hartung's being absent and Commissioner Hill already committed to an out-of-town visit. But considering the fact that we only have one meeting during the month, are we really working for a constituency? I'm going to call upon the manager to try and avoid this in the future. Staff in the manager's office have access to commissioners' calendars, and I'd ask you to coordinate as much as possible so this doesn't happen again. I want to talk about item 17. You know, we increased from item 17 on the agenda from February 14th, 2023. We've increased the expenditure authority in conflict counsel for $650,400 and appointed attorneys, reasonable necessary fees, and an additional $200,000 to increase expenditure authority for the alternate public defender's office. To support reasonable and necessary costs to meet minimum due process rights, referring to the Carlos Gutierrez trial. Total fiscal $850,400. Commissioner Hill commented on needing an item brought back where we look at the public defender, alternate public defender, and the conflict council group to understand caseloads and making sure they're staffed up. Is there a need for further analysis? We need better clarification as to what's happening in the offices. Public defender, alternate public defender, or is this part of a jail backlog? I know Commissioner Herman has been concerned about overcrowding at the jail, and I want to make sure we get this on the calendar to be followed up on. It'd be great to, since we only have one meeting in March, if we can get this calendar for March 28th.
Okay.
And one more request. Can I get the breakdown of taxpayer dollars that were spent for the Carlos Gutierrez trial, the hiring of experts and trips that needed to be taken? I'm concerned about that. I would like to have a better understanding of that. Item 20 on our February 14th, 2023 agenda, we voted regarding the daycare shortage of Washoe County and to have the Boys and Girls Club made available 50 childcare slots for Washoe County employees and 50 for foster children, opening in the spring of 2023. I've been faced with dozens of comments regarding our vote. No comments about foster children's slots, but a lot of comments about Washoe County employees. Washoe County was referred to as daycare desert by Mr. Worm from Boys and Girls Club at Truckee Meadows, and that's exactly what I've been hearing about. We're elected by residents, and what we have done to elevate this problem for our constituents looking at daycare. What forward movements are we making to help our citizens out, expanding childcare in Washoe County? I am in total support of our employees, but I need to go on record with this because I want to know what options we have to work with. Do we need to work with public and private partnerships, and not to speak again on the development I brought up last week, but they're willing to build a daycare center, and that's why I bring it up again. Do we need to find support of those partnerships? And if so, what can we offer to induce those partnerships? Lastly, I'd like to say that, if we're in a daycare desert here, if any young person is out there looking for a job opportunity, a business opportunity, a way to help the community and make a good living, somebody with the aptitude for childcare, this is a real opportunity. Families can't find daycare providers. It's unaffordable. People just are having a struggle with this sometimes it almost makes sense to stay home and take care of your children yourself versus paying some of these fees. So we need to put out the word, and people need to understand that that's a real business opportunity for somebody who's got an aptitude for that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, for me, Commissioner Hill and I, along with some 19 other members, went down to visit the Silicon Valley Advanced Water Purification Center, Pure SoCal, and the Pure Water Monterey facility, the Pure Water Monterey facility at Monterey One Water. Amazing. I mean, just absolutely amazing. So what I'd like to do, we have no other path forward in terms of water, but water reclamation and water purification, and we have to get ourselves there. So Candy, I've got a few dollars left in my account. I don't know exactly what, it doesn't matter at this point, but whatever's left there, I want that to go to the Water Innovation Institute at UNR and the research that is currently going on. They brought up time and time and time again the very, very, very high costs of running these facilities because it's so power intensive. And the research that's going on here is BAC, or bioactivated carbon, which is a phenomenal research, and I believe it's going. In fact, I know it has already yielded incredible results with a tremendous savings in terms of power. So I want to support that effort. And then the last thing for me is, as Commissioner Clark mentioned, I will be out for several weeks on a family medical leave. And I will be available by phone, but it will be somewhat sporadic. I can't always know exactly when I'll be available because there are certain things that I have to attend to. So, that said, Commissioners, anyone else? Okay. We will close item number 4. That takes us now to item number 5, appearance and presentation by Mitchell Fink, PE, and Miriam Ahmad regarding the quarterly update on traffic-related matters. Mr. Manager, I'm sorry I took your thunder.
It's all right, you did it very well, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Fink, Ms. Ahmad, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, good morning, everybody. My name is Miriam Ahmad, and I am here with Mitchell Fink, and we will be giving you a traffic update 2022 summary of what the CSD department has been up to. I am a licensed engineer within CSD Engineering and Capital Projects. I want to first start off with the traffic policy that the board approved in 2019, and what a wonderful tool it has been for us. It has provided us a straightforward and consistent process for reviewing all of the requests that come in, and it's been a great resource for us to educate our customers for any of the ticket items that have come in. There are 2 categories for this policy. It's going to be traffic calming or traffic engineering, and this gives us an opportunity to work with our customers in coming up with a solution. And of course, all of these solutions are very heavily governed by traveling public and the pedestrian safety. There are several ways to contact us. Our preferred method is through WASHA 311. They can email us through WASHA 311 or send us an email through WASHA 311. This is a great process for us to keep track of everything for all of the requests that come in, as well as responding and notifying customers. That way no one slips through the cracks for us. There are plenty of other ways that we can also be contacted. We have our engineering counter. We have our commissioners that can directly contact us. And we have our regional partners as well that we work with. It's going to be the Sheriff's Office, RTC, NDOT, and our school police. With all of these requests, we do have an internal priority list that we use to develop our projects, our upcoming projects. If we don't have, sometimes we don't have resources to address concerns correctly or right away. And we keep a running priority list internally. I'm going to turn it over to Mitch now, and he will go into further detail.
For the record, Mitchell Fink, a licensed engineer with Washoe County Engineering and Capital Projects. So I would like to share with you an overview of the types of traffic requests that we received for 2022, as well as how they are assessed and some of the outcomes of those requests. So the traffic calming is broken down into 2 parts, traffic calming and traffic engineering. And we received a combination of those requests, around about 100 requests in 2022. Most common requests, speeding is one of the big ticket items, as well as pedestrian safety. We also get a request for additional signage and striping. Stop sign installation is also a big ticket item. We also get requests for school flasher and traffic signal issues. There is traffic signals actually go through RTC for those requests. And then also school safety zone improvements are a big ticket to ensure that the safety of the school children. We respond to these requests by assisting the Washoe County customers with how we process and review those requests, and then also how we come to the ultimate determination of those requests. We assess those requests using speed and volume studies, intersection analysis, site distance visibility analysis, crash reviews. So it just really depends on the request, on the tools that we use for those assessments. We do work in collaboration with the school police and the Washoe County Sheriff's Office for the law enforcement portion of the traffic safety. Some of the outcomes that we had for 2022, just as a breakdown, about a quarter of those requests are mitigated through either those traffic calming methods or traffic engineering best practices. We also see about a quarter of those requests we prioritize and create future projects for. And these projects can be as small as just as simple as striping or installation of signs. They don't have to be big ticket items such as installing speed humps or speed cushions throughout a subdivision. It could just, again, be a simple action such as the installation of the speed limit sign. About probably a little less than half of those requests we find really don't require any additional action based upon assessment. So there's typically no field changes, and the customer is notified and explained how that determination was made. So in 2022, we probably spent probably around $175,000 on traffic engineering, traffic calming projects. And again, those could be as simple as crosswalks, additional crosswalk striping, or the installation of even speed limit signs. So we consider those projects and successes as well. And as well as those bigger items such as the installation of speed cushions, speed humps, those kind of things for those bigger projects where we find that the reduction of speed is really needed. So for 2023, we were looking at, we were guessing around a budget of around $700,000 potentially with some future projects of things that we've prioritized and we have the funding available for. Again, those can be things like radar feedback signs for crosswalks, or radar feedback signs for reducing speed. Also, rapid flasher beacons for pedestrian crossings, especially in school zones. That's one of our priorities. And then speed cushions we find work really well. They allow the emergency response to maintain their speeds while still reducing speed through vertical traffic devices. So some of the
Before you go too far back, so you said we spent $175K. Where did that $175K come from?
That $175K came from the capital project budget
Okay.
that the commission.
Okay.
Turned over to us.
You know that we at the RTC voted on, and I'm going to call it an extension of the Complete Streets program, to give funding to the 3 municipalities. And we got some money set aside, and I know Mr. Smith is very well aware of this, to assist the 3 municipalities, to assist the city of Reno. They would actually get about half of what the money that was set aside. I asked for $3 million. And then the city of Reno, city of Sparks and Washoe County would split, sort of the rest of that. I can't remember the exact number that we finally agreed upon because it really wasn't a board item. It was a request, and then they just, RTC had to sort of fit it in the budget. But it still is an ongoing request, and it's something that I want you guys to tap into. We're going to call them grants. For lack of a better term, and it can be used for any of this kind of stuff because I know that while it's in our budget, it's pretty easy to spend that money, especially on much needed improvements, especially in older neighborhoods. I mean, like I live in an older neighborhood, wide, long, straight streets. It gives people an opportunity. They don't even know they're speeding. They don't even know they're doing 50 miles an hour because it doesn't feel that way, and especially in modern automobiles. So if you're in a Tesla, you don't even know you're doing 50 miles an hour. And I mean that with all sincerity, and that's not a pejorative comment. It's just it's the ride. You can't tell that you're speeding necessarily. So I don't think it's a malicious thing that's happening, but it is happening. So I wanted to interject because I wasn't sure. Dwayne, have we tapped into that funding source yet? Regionally?
And you see that the budget is approximately $700,000 this year. There's some expectation.
Okay, all right. Forgive the intrusion.
Oh, no, thank you. Thank you for that information, for that additional resources available. We certainly, like you said, certainly can use the funding for all the requests that we receive and the speeding or traffic issues that we identify. So with that, some of the projects that we had in 2022 out in Cold Springs, Crystal Canyon Boulevard, we implemented traffic calming methods using radar feedback signs, pavement markings, striping. We added additional crosswalks. We created an area of the streets by using a combination of delineators and curbing. And we will do further evaluation on this to see the success of it, but it has reduced the number of speeding calls to the sheriff's office. Another example was out in Spanish Springs, Dolores Drive, where, again, speeding through the neighborhood, through the residential portion of the neighborhood with hills and curves, and there's no sidewalks out there. So we implemented these speed cushions. Again, these speed cushions are basically speed humps that have a gap in the middle that allow the emergency response vehicles to straddle, but still maintain their emergency response times, but also still require that the motorists slow down as they drive over them. So with that, I would like to turn it back over to Miriam to provide a summary of our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So just to summarize, we do use the approved policy that was approved in 2019 to provide deliberate and consistent process in educating our customers. We've received over 100 requests, about 25% of which have been completed in 2022, and it has lent into our projects for 2023 as well. We do also work with development partners for new developments to ensure traffic calming measures are put into place, as well as pedestrian safety. And we continue to work with our regional partners to enforce and educate the safety measures. Josh, if you could please, oh, perfect. So on this page, we have our traffic policy, which the customers can click and go through. It's the traffic calming policy, which is the third one down. Oh, back up. There we go. Right there. This has definitions for what is considered traffic calming versus traffic engineering. If you scroll down, I want to say it's the 5th page, there's also a really great visual for, there we go, of how the requests are going to be processed and what the customer can expect. If you go back to the other page, I would like to take us through submitting a request, which is the first link. Perfect. So here, it takes you to our 311 page. It starts off by putting in an address. You can use your current location if you're on your mobile, or you can type in the address. So for today, we'll do 1001 East 9th Street. And then, there we go, and then click next. And then the type of issue. So we're gonna go down to engineering and traffic engineering. So we can do a request, or if you have traffic issue or signal issues, we can click on that as well. So it'll be a traffic request. And then in the comments, you can say what the request is. And that's it. We submit, and then it comes in through WASHA 311, and it helps us track the request and help us be in touch with the customer as well. And with that, we are done with our presentation. We welcome any questions at this time.
Thank you so much. And I Vice Chair Hill is signed in, but I want to emphasize this for everyone. It's essential, and many times when I get a request from a constituent, I'll send it to WASHA 311 because it helps us log this. And then we can track it through the system and see just how much time it's going to take. We're going to talk about Dolores. I'm thrilled with Dolores, but when I started, I had the same color hair as that guy right there asking for speed bumps on Dolores. It's not a joke. It is absolutely true. I've been asking for those since before I was on the county commission. It's taken years, Mitch, to get those things, and it's been very frustrating for me. Very, very frustrating. We finally have them, but I'll come back. Vice Chair Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I know I send a lot of requests to your office, so thank you so much for following up with people, letting them know where it is in the queue. And I'm sure you understand that this board is, laser focused on pedestrian safety, and the federal government is as well. When we went to the NACO conference, we had a presentation on the U.S. Department of Transportation, and they are giving out planning grants, and then they are giving giving out implementation grants. So you can do a two-part grant process through them for, improving pedestrian and bicycling safety, looking at lights, looking at crosswalks, all of that. So there's also those resources. I know that that's just more work for y'all to do, to apply for those grants, but for bigger projects like Incline Village, and we tackled that with a consultant, but perhaps there's other projects in other people's districts that we don't have the staff to do, but we know there's a safety issue there, and we want to apply for that planning process. And I know in Verdi, it's a major issue too, and maybe there's opportunity to work with RTC and get one of those transportation grants for that. But I'm so excited to hear that you're looking to spend $700,000 this next fiscal year. When I started, I think we were at 100 for the capital. Am I correct?
We had an annual budget about 50.
50.
Yeah.
So
Then,
thank you.
Yes, and then the board started approving about 200 towards that as well.
Well, I really appreciate you following the lead of the board, and so the chairman could get those speed humps on his concerns. And then I know that Colin, there's some work that we are doing and investing in that neighborhood due to some major pedestrian issues now that people have found those trails and parking, and we have also done some speed assessments out there. So thank you for your work with that, and I'm really excited that we're really more than doubling our efforts to see how we can support, keeping our communities safe. And the one, let's see, will we get the reports of citizens in our districts who have asked for these traffic calming things? Is that part of the roll-up report we get from communications? Do you know? Since it is Washoe 311, I just want to make sure I'm getting these.
Quickly, for the record, Dwayne Smith, 2 comments. Yes, to answer your question, I think that's one of the things that we want to try to do a little bit better this year. And certainly, I'm very fortunate to have Miriam join our team. Miriam came from NDOT. She spent 5 years with NDOT and with local consultants prior to that. So I wanted to just quickly say that there is more work to be done. And I think that you're going to continue to see this advancement as we have more budgets and more staff, quite honestly. These things take time.
Absolutely.
They take a lot of effort. So we appreciate that very much. And please, if you want to see something more specific, please let us know, and we're happy to adjust those reports and what that looks like.
I just want to know when people are submitting in for what roads, so I know what's out there and what the requests are. So that's the only request I have, but I'm hoping through communications we're getting that through Washoe 311 reports. But thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. So I'm gonna just make a couple of comments here. Thank you for getting that done on Dolores. We had, as you know, Mr. Fink, multiple accidents, and it's never good when accidents or crashes rather drive us to the point of saying, hey, this is a problem, because the citizens had been complaining. Again, before I got elected, I know I was still on the Planning Commission when I started talking to community development about having speed bumps. I got speed bumps put on Sky Ranch when my kids were little, and they're full grown. I think my daughter was, 5 or 6. And she's in her mid-30s, and my son, same way, mid-30s, and he was probably, 7, maybe 8, something like that. So there is a process out there that used to be more streamlined with Washoe County. So, Commissioners, what I'd like to see is perhaps sometime over the summer, maybe we'll start in April or May, I'd like an item to come back, Mr. Smith, that talks about the process. What has to happen when a complaint gets logged and we know it's in the system? What happens after that? What's the time frame? And is there a way to streamline it? And I'm not suggesting that we're doing it wrong. I think it would be good for us to understand how it happens, how it occurs. I know there's a fellow in the audience today, Mr. Otto, who was very proactive on the Cold Springs issue on Crystal Canyon, and look at what it's yielded. So I guess the point is that we look at these traffic calming devices, and we say, okay, how much time is it really going to take us? But the reality is that it saves in many other areas of the county, with the sheriff's office having to go out and do enforcement. Enforcement is only short term. Enforcement only lasts for a few, I mean, it's of course during the time, and then of course people get leery and they're driving through a neighborhood and they go, okay, you know, the cop was sitting here, and is he still sitting there? And then as the cop is not there any longer, as the deputy's not there, they forget. And so it's why we have to have some methodology that we can get these things into the neighborhoods. And I know that staff has been resistant to use stop signs, but I'll tell you what, stop signs work. They work. They really do. We had an issue in Spanish Springs, right down the street from my house on East Sky Ranch, where at the corner of East Sky Ranch and Cordoba, where it was only a two-way, and you had this long sweeper, which we should never have those long sweepers without some kind of a break. And it was just a poor design. Not your fault. That neighborhood was built probably in the mid-90s, right? And so it's one of those things where sadly, we're the recipients of these issues. You know, we inherit those issues, and I get that. One last thing, there was some questions about potholes and et cetera, and I know we were just talking about speed control, but since I have you here, and it really doesn't say, it just talks about quarterly update on traffic related matters. How do we, how can we get those things fixed? And and are the sidewalks, Mr. Smith, are those RTC? Because RTC built all that stuff, but I think they dedicated it to us, if I'm not correct. I don't think the roads are ours, though, are they? Sun Valley Boulevard I'm pretty sure that's what he's referring to.
Again, for the record, Dwayne Smith, Director of Engineering and Capital Projects. A couple of things you asked, a few things in there. Let me see if I can address those. First of all, potholes, please, 311 is the other way to make those calls, bring that in. That goes to our roads department. Good. So our roads crews are responsible for and do go out and do pothole repair. We had a really hard winter. We've seen that. It doesn't matter if you're in the city of Reno, city of Sparks, or Washoe County, we've seen that. And certainly we want to know about those so we can get out, and they are doing that work. So you've seen in, I don't know what areas they're exactly in today kind of thing, but you've seen that these repairs are being made. It does take time. You talked a little bit about sidewalks. Yeah, there's expectation that goes along with the sidewalks that they need to be cleaned off. It's not always something that Washoe County staff is going out there to clean off sidewalks. We expect that our community also shares in those responsibilities, just like we do when we see trash or debris in roadside ditches. We encourage our community to be part of the community and jump in and help out when we can. We have a very small, limited size of staff, so those are things that have to get prioritized, much like everything that we do. And when we can, we get to those things. Some things we can't get to as quickly as others. You mentioned Sun Valley Boulevard. Yes, Washoe County owns Sun Valley Boulevard. That is one of our streets, but it's a regional street. So when there are maintenance items, when there's repair items, when those types of things, then RTCs, because they are a regional road, then we have regional funding to help apply to those types of things. So every jurisdiction is an owner of roads. RTC helps on regional roads with maintenance and planning efforts.
Okay, but I want to ask you a question. So and look, and I don't disagree in a neighborhood. The sidewalk that maybe someday I'll have a sidewalk in front of my house. Sorry. ongoing discussion with Mr. Smith. But I believe the sidewalks that he was referring to are on Sun Valley Boulevard. So there's no residential residents that would abut that. So it's not their responsibility, is it?
I'd have to take a look exactly through. I took a note, actually. It's on the top of my page here when the gentleman was speaking. So I'm planning on figuring out
and I think what's happening
are on that
to his point, and I get this. So we go out, we plow that road, or somebody plows that road, and there's all kinds of stuff on that road. And when we plow it and we kind of toss it off on, and it gets ultimately pushed up onto those sidewalks and et cetera. And then as the snow melts, it's just like a glacier that leaves debris in the bottom of a valley.
yeah, there's a lot of those types of issues, and certainly want to make sure that we're addressing those where
Okay.
we can and prioritizing those as we should. I just wanted to quickly mention, though, and I appreciate very much the slides. You mentioned something I think it's worth just honing in on for just a second. One of the things that we're not only doing is we're addressing traffic concerns that exist because of some of those developments that were built in the 1990s in those areas. I refer to those as gaps. Where we have new development comes in, and new development is required to mitigate their impacts. And then we've got existing developments, and sometimes those existing developments are impacted, maybe not directly, but maybe somewhat indirectly. And these fall into these gap areas. So one of the two things, we're really focused on new development conditioning and working with our development partners, working with their consultants to change those new subdivisions, those new roadways, so that they meet today's standards. I'm talking about chicanes, I'm talking about not straight wide open roadways, but roadways that have curvatures, that have incorporated in the pedestrian safety features that we expect and are putting in place now. Those are being borne by the developers, right? That cost is part of their piece. But that gap area is something that we're really working on. So you saw that $700,000 in our anticipated budget this year. A big chunk of that is a new signal. So these are the things that we're looking for partnering with our community on so that we can leverage Washoe County dollars, grant dollars, those types of things, and working with our development partners as well. So there's a lot of really good stuff that's going on that these two individuals on my right and left are at the tip of the spear on these things. And I just wanted to quickly mention that. Thank you.
No, and thank you for that. And commissioners, again, I'll go back to what we had mentioned. Bringing an item back to us, it's imperative for us to sort of understand the process because, as all of you know, I don't think there's anyone in this room that has driven every single road in their district. We just can't. We can't be on every road every single day. You have? Commissioner Herman apparently has. Okay. She nodded her head and said, yes, I have. Come and drive some of the roads in my district. And some of us, and because many of us also, by the way, they're not just unincorporated. We live, many of us, and in fact, Commissioner Garcia, you're mostly city of Reno, and I believe pieces of city of Sparks. You have a very small piece of unincorporated county. So it's difficult, though, to be the eyes and ears on the ground. And the people who are living in these neighborhoods, they're the ones who have to live with this stuff on a day-to-day basis, and they see it going on. And so I'd like to work with staff to come back and say, how can we streamline this? How can we make this easier for you? Because we all know that every issue that comes before us comes with red tape. Depending on what the issue is, it comes with an envelope full of red tape. If it's a bigger issue, it comes with a box full of red tape. If it's a really big issue, it comes with a room full of red tape. And so let's see if we can figure out a way to collaboratively cut that back, because that's just staff time. And a lot of times it's unnecessary staff time. And so let's see if there's a way that we can streamline the process. And so I look forward to having this conversation with the rest of the commission and hearing the ideas of how we can just make this a better process for the residents of Washoe County, but also for staff. Commissioners, anyone else? Okay. Thank you so much. Well done.
Thank you.
That now takes us, Mr. Manager, to item number 6.
Item 6 are proclamations for possible action.
Okay. The proclamation of the month of February 2023 as Career and Technical Education, or CTE Month. Commissioner Clark, would you like to take the podium and bring up any constituents or members that are here to receive this?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I would. Thanks. Before I make this proclamation, I'd like to remind everybody that today is Fat Tuesday. This is Mardi Gras, so this is
and you're beadless, sir.
I left my beads at home. but that's also today, so just bringing that to your attention. I have a proclamation from the Board of County Commissioners. Whereas career and technical education offers learners the opportunity to gain academic and technical and professional skills for a real career readiness, and whereas students in career and technical education programs participate in authentic and impactful experiences that improve the quality of their education and increase their engagement and achievement, and whereas career and technical education provides learners with career exploration opportunities earlier in their educational experience, thereby enabling them to make informed decisions about their academic coursework and pursue programs of student career paths. And whereas leaders from nationwide businesses and industries report increasing challenges related to addressing the skill gap and connection qualification professionals with available careers in critical CTE-related fields, including aerospace, agriculture, construction, education, healthcare, information technologies, logistics, manufacturing, mining, and natural resources. And whereas career and technical education prepares students for fulfilling careers by offering integrated study programs that link secondary and post-secondary education, leading to the attainment of industry-recognized credentials. And whereas youth and adult learners in CTE programs are more engaged, graduate high school at a higher rate, earn industry-recognized credentials, and have rewarding and family-sustaining careers. Now, therefore, the Washoe County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim the month of February 2023 as Career and Technical Education Month. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Congratulations.
A couple of words you'd like to share with us?
That would be great.
Sure, sure.
Good morning, County Commissioners. For the record, my name is Josh Hartzog. I'm the Director of Signature Academies and Career and Technical Education in the Washoe County School District. I'm joined back there by my colleagues and teammates, Mr. Matt McKay and Ms. Kathy Smith. We just want to thank you so much for your time this morning and helping us to promote and celebrate CTE Month. Just to provide you with a little bit of high-level information about our school district. At every single one of our 12 comprehensive high schools, we offer anywhere from 4 to 5 plus CTE programs ranging from computer science and cybersecurity to graphic design and multimedia communications to business administration, manufacturing technologies, welding technology. The list goes on. We offer about 30 different CTE programs across the entire school district, as well as programs at 2 district-sponsored charter schools, Ace High School and Coral Academy. All of our programs are mainly focused on preparing our students for the world of work and career after they leave high school, whether that be entering a 4-year university program or a community college, or it's some kind of a technical training program, or direct entry into the workforce. We are all about doing whatever we can, and our 100+ teachers, as well as our CTE administrators and counselors, doing what they can to prepare our students for that next step. Our programs are mainly focused on providing our students with academic skills, technical skills, professional skills, with a focus on work-based learning and project-based learning, and providing them with opportunities to acquire industry-recognized credentials. So it's all there in the proclamation. There's a number of things that we're doing to celebrate this month across our district and across the nation, but moreover, we just want to once again thank you for your time and helping us to promote and celebrate it. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're gonna come down and take a photograph in just a second here, but I wanted to mention something. You know, I mentioned earlier that we went to look at some water purification plants in Southern California. Last month we went to see a purification plant in Orange County, and then these two were both in sort of Central Valley areas. The need for certified techs and SCADA techs that run these plants is immense. They can't get these kind of folks, and these are not engineers. These are highly qualified, highly trained techs, and they're certified to run waste treatment facilities, water purification facilities. This is the wave of the future, and this is just one aspect. And so it's so important because the path to college is not for every young person, but yet there's so many great jobs out there that you guys are involved in. And so I want to thank you. I want to thank you for that, because people don't realize the technical requirements that go into many of these highly skilled jobs. And when you go home and you turn on the tap and the water comes out, or you flip the switch and the light comes on, those are all highly skilled technical jobs that somebody has to train. So thank you so much. Commissioner Clark, let me just ask you one last question. Was your proclamation, was that in the form of a motion, sir?
Yes, it was.
Good. Do I have a second on it? And I have a second. Okay. Let's take a vote on this, and then we're going to take a quick break and we're going to take a photograph. We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comment on this item?
We do not.
Okay, we'll close public comment. We'll bring it back to the board. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, we're going to go into recess for a couple of minutes, and we're going to take a photograph. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to bring us back into order. And we have taken a motion and a second and a vote. That now takes us, Mr. Manager, to item number 7.
Item 7 is donations, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Who wants to do donations today?
I'm happy to do them, Mr.
Please.
Chairman, if you'd like me to.
Please.
Okay, we have a huge list of donations from community members to our programs, and I think it just shows really that the community sees the incredible work that our staff does every day to really make the Washoe County a better place to live. So thank you so much. From 7A1, there were various items totaling a market value of $13.25 to the Human Services Agency Homelessness Fund to support the welfare activities and the amount of $10. 7A2, various items totaling an estimated market value of $52.22 to the Human Service Agency Senior Service Fund to support operations of the Washoe County Seniors Centers in the amount of $2111.71. 7A3, various items totaling an existing or an estimated market value of $13,419 and accepting donations from various donors of the Human Service Child Protective Service Fund to support welfare activities in the amount of $22,760. And 7B1 to acknowledge 475 pairs of socks from Grace Community Church donated to the Nevada Cares Campus, which total $5,343. 1,700 cases of Pure Life bottled water from the Hero Environmental donated to the Nevada Cares Campus in the amount of $7,293. 627 pairs of socks from the Sparks High School donated to the Nevada Cares Campus in estimated value of $7,053, and various winter additional items donated to the Nevada Cares Campus from the nonprofit We Serve with Helping Hands, estimated value at $981.58. 20 dozen donuts donated to the Nevada Cares Campus from Doughboy Donuts in the amount of $339, and various winter clothing items donated to Housing and Homeless Services from J.D. Klippenstein, who's also an employee of ours, for $75. Various pet items from the Regional Animal Services donated to the Nevada Cares Campus for $74.52. And various winter clothing items donated to the Nevada Cares Campus from the Washoe County Office of the County Manager, holiday donation. So that's our employees also giving to our programs $450. And 7C1 Washoe County Regional Animal Services in the amount of $8,736.31 from numerous donors. There's an attached list in the staff report to be used for the humane care and treatment of sick or injured, stray, abandoned, or at-risk animals. We express our appreciation for these incredibly thoughtful contributions. And that is in the form of a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Good. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comment on item number 7?
There's nobody signed in for, oh, wait a minute. There is,
Oh, under discussion.
so
Commissioner
there's no
Clark.
public comment.
Is it? Yeah, just under discussion. So we have a motion and a second. Under discussion, Commissioner Clark, I have you signed in.
Just got a couple of items on item 7A1. We're accepting some donations from Eric and Stephanie LaRue, organizers of the Reno Tahoe Odyssey, and I just wanted to take a moment to thank them on the record and mention the Odyssey. I've enjoyed watching the various teams over the years. Then I'd like to talk about 7B1. A couple of items piqued my interest with a list of donors. And I'm supposed to tour the CARES campus in the future, but in the meantime, Washoe County Regional Animal Services donated 1,080 dog waste bags and 4 dog waste dispensers for pet usage on the Nevada CARES campus. Prior to the donation, did we have dog waste dispensers? How many dog waste dispensers do we have in total on the campus? Also, it seems so many organizations and individuals have been kind enough to give socks. I've been hearing about bed bugs at the CARES campus and lice. Bed bugs, unlike lice, don't travel directly on people, but they can travel on people's clothing. In this way, people can spread bed bugs to others without even knowing it. My question is, how do we handle clothing and socks when people leave the CARES campus?
Okay. All right. I'd love to have a conversation about Cymex lucularis. Common bed bug.
Sure, and we can cover pediculosis as well.
The common louse. Love to. Okay. We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I believe motion carries unanimously. Affirm your votes. All right. Commissioners, that takes us now to item number 8, the consent agenda. There has been a request to remove item 8D1. If we want to take that out and do a separate vote on it, we can certainly do that, or we can just leave it in the consent agenda. What's the desire? Commissioner Clark.
Yet again, I would like to emphasize that, we've got a rush of people trying to apply for a position after kind of the deadline had passed, or at least that hadn't been noticed in far enough advance. So I would like to talk to Commissioner Hill about this. If we decide to pull this off the agenda, I'd like to interview these folks with Commissioner Hill and find out a little bit more about these other candidates. I mean, I've only been here a short time, but it seems like we continue to vote on people that haven't really been interviewed for these positions. So that's what I'd like to talk about.
Okay, so the way that this would occur is we can pull this item for a future date and then bring it back if that's the desire of the board. Okay. Mr. Edwards, what do I need to do on 8D1? Do I have to can I just pull it and let the comments that were made by commissioners stand?
You have supreme power on this one. You can pull it by edict and just announce that it's being trailed out to a later date and then move on the rest of the items on.
Okay, it would seem that there's a desire to pull this and have look, I agree. I will tell you, I get very frustrated on these things where we notice it and then we get one person, maybe two, and then suddenly there's a flood of people that come back, and so I don't know how to remedy this, commissioners, but happy to pull that if that's the desire, or we can leave it in. Commissioner Clark.
Again, we've had two people that applied for this position, and then all of a sudden we get a rush to other folks, and it just, I'm not so concerned about individual issues, but how the perception of this in the public is, volunteers are hard to come by.
Oh, boy.
And when you finally get a volunteer,
oh boy,
and it appears that they're being snubbed or not being appreciated, how does that play out in the future?
Okay, do we want to leave it? Do you want to leave it in the? We can just leave it in consent.
I'm just talking right
Okay.
now. I want you to hear me out on this, and so my concern is having a fair interview with the folks that want to be involved, but this stuff of running up to the finish line and then saying somebody who says, I want to place my bet, it just doesn't seem, it seems disingenuous, and it seems like somebody thinks that they're going to put their friends on a committee, not just this one. It's every time you turn around, it seems like, and how do we get volunteers to volunteer if they feel like they're going to be dissed, I guess, for lack of a better word. So that's where I'm coming from with this. And so on this particular case, I'm willing to sit with Commissioner Hill and then interview these latecomers to the game and see if there's see what's really taking place there. But anybody who sits on a board, especially this board that I'm involved with, I don't want this to be politicized. I don't like this person because of their political party. I get feedback from other members, and I know what's going on. I'm not going to call anybody out by name, but this leaves a bad taste in my mouth. We got some people that want to volunteer, and other people want to block their volunteerism. I just don't like it.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Whether you pull it or not, sounds like that's probably what's going to happen, and that's fine. You have that discretion. On the comments, I wanted to make a statement real quick for Commissioners Clark's and Hill's benefit. I recommend not to do the two of you sitting and interviewing candidates on this, because that looks an awful lot like what the open meeting law would regard as a subcommittee of the board. And so I would say if any of you are going to participate, I would recommend that it be one, because that you can't have a public body of one. So I would recommend that. And I want to put that out there now before this goes anywhere else. So.
Okay, let me ask. All right, you're forcing me to ask another question. This begs this. do we bring back an item at our next meeting that says that we are going to appoint them to do these interviews, perhaps during the advisory board meeting or something of that nature, so that it is properly noticed?
Definitely, you cannot appoint them today.
Correct.
If you do appoint them, then they will be a subcommittee.
Correct.
They will need to do agendas with public comment, with minutes, with supporting material, with
Senior
all of
Services
that.
Advisory Board already does that. So if they did that in conjunction with the Senior Services Advisory Board, which Commissioner Clark is already a member of?
If it's on the agenda at that meeting as a clear and complete statement, it would be okay.
Okay.
But you're going to have some form of agenda that satisfies the open meeting law if you're going to have two commissioners conducting interviews such as this.
Okay.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Rather than, and with pure transparency involved here, rather than having it look like it's a subcommittee, why don't we just have all of these candidates come before the county commission meeting, and all of us can hear their resumes and their reasons for being on the board? Have it on our agenda in the future for a board.
Yeah, that's definitely something you could do. It would just be on a future item for this board at a future meeting.
Okay. And I think what we need to talk about is what's the, and I think we're doing this.
Yeah.
We're going to do this anyway, so let's include this. What's the extent? I mean, how far down do we go? Do we bring in Citizens Advisory Board members to appoint them as an example? And the reason I caution that is because, a lot of these folks work. They can't be here to necessarily, it becomes a little more difficult. It's more problematic to interview. And look, and I have no issue. I mean, we can go all the way down. We can go as far down as we'd like. So and we can talk about that because I know we've got an item coming back on appointments. Commissioner Clark.
So Chairman Hartung, the reason I brought that up is because in this particular issue, we've got people in the audience who've asked us to reconsider.
Sure.
So we don't have to go, maybe this won't happen in the future if it gets all volunteer positions get proper noticing and everyone gets their name in the hat, and in the future we shouldn't have to have this. But in this case, it looks like we should do this for transparency. Okay. And give each person 5 or 6 minutes to come in and talk about what they want to talk about, and then we'll have a vote.
Okay. All right. We'll bring this back. We're going to table this today and bring it back at it won't be our next meeting. Because there's not enough time to get everything squared away by staff, but we'll bring it back at the following meeting in March. Okay, that takes us to the rest of the consent agenda. Commissioners.
Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to make a motion on the rest of the consent agenda, which is 8A1 through 8C1.
Okay.
And I move to approve.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second? Okay, I have a motion by Hill, second by Herman. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comment on item number 8?
We have people signed in for 8D1.
We pulled that, but we can, what's the, Mr. Edwards? I feel like I should take that public comment.
I think your instinct is right.
Good. Okay. All right. Would you call public comment, even though 8D1 has been pulled? Would you call public comment on item 8?
Yes. First up, we have Donna Klontz.
Ms. Klontz, welcome back.
Thank you. Donna Klontz for the record. I think that the commission's solution to this situation with a lot of volunteers who want to step up and work with seniors is a really good one. I'm sorry it's going to take a little bit of time, but I think it's going to be really eye-opening to see the quality and the skills that all of the people that are in the current hat bring to the county and to the seniors. So thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Next up, we have Mac Rossi.
Mr. Rossi, welcome back.
Mac Rossi for the record. Good morning again. Since we're not going to do any interviews today, I just want to answer Commissioner Clark's answers. I'm on several committees with the city of Reno, and I heard about this position word of mouth, period. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Patricia Gallimore.
Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Gotta put it down there, I'm a little short. Hi, my name is, good morning, Commissioners. Great to be here this morning. My name is Patricia Gallimore. I am currently the president for the Reno Sparks NAACP, as well as a senior. And I consider myself to be very, very informed about what's going on in the city of Reno. And if I didn't hear about this position, then there's an issue. Now, when we're dealing with seniors, the issue that we have with seniors is that the internet sometimes doesn't work. Word of mouth works good. We have senior community centers. Those things should be posted there as well. So inclusion is very, very, very important, especially for seniors as it is for any community member. So I'm so glad that we are, putting this back and taking it back and looking at it and allowing the individuals that did apply and postponing the appointments to make sure that everyone is included. Because as I said, inclusion in this community is very, very important. I applied for the position myself as well that I know about. I work a lot with seniors. I teach seniors Zumba Gold for the city of Reno. I contract with them. I teach nutrition. It's very important. I'm a senior myself. I'm also a vice president with NAR, which is Nevada Alliance for Retired Americans. So I go down to the legislature. I also try to legislate for seniors. It's very important, those issues, as well as other folks' issues are important as well. But we're all going to become seniors at some point in our lives. So we would hope that we would have people that would advocate for us as well. So that's the reason why I'm here. I volunteer a lot in the community. I also I'll do my interview later, but I also sit on the board of Northern Nevada Hopes. So I do a lot of health things. I also sit on Nevada Minority Health and Equity Coalition. And I am the co-chair for the NACP health program that we have. So it's really important, as I said, and I'll take it back again, that inclusion, if I can't say anything else in terms of representation for everybody, is important. And getting that information out to the community, whether it be via emails, via phone calls, putting it up in posters, being broadcasted, whatever we have to do, but folks should know about it. As I said, I consider myself very well informed. If I didn't know, then something's missing. Thank you so much this morning for hearing me out. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Next up is Kenji Otto.
Welcome, Mr. Otto.
Thank you. So I'd like to let you all know that I'm removing my name from the list for the Senior Advisory Board, and probably won't be volunteering with the county, probably never again. This has been too tedious, and I'm retired. I don't need this kind of crap. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
There's nobody else signed in.
Okay, we'll close public comment. We'll bring it back to the board. We have a motion on item 8, which includes 8A1, B1, and C1. We have tabled D1 to come back at a future meeting. We have heard from commissioners. We have asked for and taken public comment. We have a motion by Hill, a second by Herman. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I believe motion carries unanimously with all commissioners voting. Please affirm your votes. All right, Mr. Manager, that takes us out of consent to item number 9.
Item 9 is a recommendation and possible action to approve the settlement between Walmart and the state of Nevada in the opioid litigation and execution by Washoe County of Walmart Settlement Participation Form and releases pursuant to the One Nevada Agreement and allocation of opioid recoveries, One Nevada Agreement, previously agreed upon for participation in settlements. An exact net amount to the county is not determined at this time, but it is expected The settlement will result in a gross payment from the defendants to the state of Nevada in an amount of $32,231,037.14, and that the county net payout from that amount will be determined according to the provisions of the One Nevada Agreement on allocation of opioid recoveries approved by the board in July 2021. Under the One Nevada Agreement, Washoe County will receive, before deductions required but yet to be calculated, 6.841995% of the local government allocation, making up 38.77% of the total allocation, 14% of the medical match allocation, 17.37% of the total allocation. And we have Mr. Large here.
Miguel Grande. Michael Large.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Michael Large from the District Attorney's Office. I'm here to answer any questions you have. This is a settlement that is reached in the opioid between the state of Nevada and Walmart. This is very similar to what we've done in the past with Johnson & Johnson and several of the other opioid settlements with the distributors and manufacturers of opioids. This would allow execution of Exhibit K, which is what we're asking for. It would allow us to put this into the One Nevada allocation agreement and settle with Walmart in county's ongoing litigation. So I'm here to answer any questions that you have in regard to this.
Okay, so Commissioners, what I want to make sure that we understand today, this is the settlement. This is not where the money goes. This is just the fact that we're either going to accept the money or not accept the money. So, Vice Chair Hill, I have you signed in first.
Thank you. Mr. Large, if you could just summarize what would happen if the board decided to go out it alone instead of going with this plan.
Currently, there's two parallel actions going on. There's the state of Nevada's direct action against all of the distributors and manufacturers. There is also the county's lawsuit that's going on. That litigation has been stayed. They are handled by the same counsel that we've hired, but that case has been stayed. The state of Nevada is taking the lead role on this and litigating against all of the manufacturers and distributors that are named in our lawsuit. If we were not to accept this, which is this board's discretion, then we would not settle with Walmart. We would then, during the counties, after the litigation had commenced, finished with the state, the county would go it alone against Walmart and the other parties that we did not settle with our own litigation. And then the county would have to bear the costs of experts and put on the case in chief, as generally we would do in any type of litigation. And this just expedites that process, gets us money now through the state, and let them take the laboring oar of the litigation.
And so this is really what staff sees as the best deal for our community is moving forward with, moving forward with the One Nevada plan and ensure that we don't have to have ongoing litigation and perhaps even get less money than we would have.
Staff recommends that approval of this in accordance with the One Nevada agreement. It is the best way to get money to address the opioid problems in the county immediately. Litigation, as we all know, really lasts years and years. This has been ongoing for 3 or 4 years at this point, and there's, while there's a trial date set in the state's case in, I believe, June of this year, there's no determining whether or not that's going to be some certain. Plus, you have appeals, so this could potentially drag on for years. This gets money to the county now to address the problem.
That's wonderful, and I'm in full support. I just wanted the community to know that we were looking for the best deal when we're, making these settlements, because we want to make sure that as much money and as quickly as that money can get into our community's hands to really heal our community, because there's a lot of work to do. So thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Clark, I have you signed in next.
Just had a couple of quick questions or comments. In reading through the documents, did the county hire outside counsel? And I think you just answered that, Mr. Large. And if so, who and what cost? What did that cost?
I'm not aware of the cost. We did hire the Egglet and Adams firm, and then which is our national counsel, and then we out of Las Vegas, and we hired Bradley, Drendel, and Janae as our local counsel to be involved as well. and that was approved by this board, I believe, in 2021.
What was the first law firm did you mention?
Eglet Adams, E-G-L-E-T, Adams, A-D-A-M-S.
And locally was Bradley, Drendel, and Janae. Okay, thank you. So we don't know the cost, though.
I don't know the cost. I know that they took
Percentage. It's a percentage.
It'll be a contingency fee, and I know each of the settlements has, because they are also acting as the state's counsel. How we do the allocation with the attorney's fees is part of the net proceeds of the settlements.
Sure.
And each settlement is a little bit different. That's why it's not sum certain yet. We've got to determine what is being allocated from the attorney's fees and costs directly to Walmart as opposed to the other defendants in the action.
So we don't have a number today.
We don't have a number today, no.
Okay, thank you.
And you know, and I know it's not going to happen today, but maybe, Mr. Large, it would be wise for those, and I know we have two new commissioners, and I know Commissioner Hill is very likely completely brought up on this because it's been going on for some time. But maybe it might be wise to sit with the commissioners and just have that conversation about how we sort of got where we are and some of the pitfalls with, as I understand them, with trying to go alone versus being enjoined in a much larger lawsuit with the state. So it might be wise to just kind of.
I am happy to have an attorney-client at any time with the commissioners.
Great. Okay. Commissioner Clark.
Again, you know, I'm not deciding whether I should support or not support this, but I've got to get this on the record. The staff, and I'm certainly not picking on Mr. Large, but the staff and any presenters that come to us should come to us with those types of disclosures so we can make an intelligent, informed decision. The more information that we as commissioners have, the better off we are for the public that we represent. So just saying we're going to settle it, well, did it cost us $100 or $100 million? I mean, those are the kind of things that we should have on the public record and people should know. And I would say that to any presenter that comes before us, that we need some facts to support and substantiate what's being shared with us. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioners, any other questions?
Just a comment on that.
Mr. Edwards,
we end up being in the spot where we get notified of these from the state, since they're in the lead position on the litigation through their contract with Eglet Adams and on down, as Mr. Large described. And so when they come in, they send them our way, and they essentially ask us to put the pedal down and get this, brought before the local boards. And this happens all over the state too. So it's not just the county that gets put in this position. And I'm not even pointing a finger at the state. It's just the nature of this high level class action type of lawsuit involving these massive defendants and the process involved. But when they come in like that and they ask the county to get it before the board as quickly as possible, and that's what happens, there ends up being a lag, which is what Commissioner Clark is talking about in terms of the calculation of the final net payout that will happen to the county. So what we did is we put in the gross percentages in the agenda item there at the bottom to give you a ballpark, which is the best at this point information that we have. So the options are kind of either don't bring it in front of the board in the fashion that the state is asking that it be brought before the board in time for you to act on the potential settlement, and wait until we have a possible net payout amount, or to bring it in with the best information that we have available at this time, which I know that neither one of those is the awesome answer, but that's kind of the position that we get put in when we bring this in. And so we tried to bring you the best ballpark information that we could on that. But I understand the point, and we'll keep doing our best to try to run that type of stuff down as we bring things in before the board. But I just want to give you a little bit of the bird's eye view on the framework of how these sort of end up on the agenda like this.
Okay. No, and my suggestion with the commissioners is only to give the background. I mean, you listed July 2021, but we started talking about it long before July 2021. That's when the decision was made. I mean, this has been kind of an ongoing percolating situation for a number of years. And so it's just to kind of give that history of how we got where we are and just, I mean, it's just a simple history lesson, nothing more. Okay, Commissioner Clark.
Again, without belaboring this, and thank you for clarifying that, Mr. Edwards. My point is Egglet and Adams have a percentage that they work on. I'm sure that Bradley, Janae, Edward, I don't even know the name of the firm, Bradley here in town, and the others, they have percentages they work on. And so I don't have to know to the penny how much they're getting, but it'd be nice to know what percentage they worked on, and then we can figure that out quickly here and to do some rough numbers. That's the point I'm trying to get at. What do they charge to represent us? 30%, 40%, 50%, 100%? That's the number I'd like. Thank you.
And we can follow up too after the meeting to get you whatever gross figures we have on that. There will be detailed calculations as you're talking about that will sort of alter the way that plays out in a specific scenario because of all the allocations that happen amongst the different defendants, the counties, the cities, et cetera. So, but we can follow up with whatever additional information we can find on that with you after, probably by email, and then you can ask questions on that if you would like at that point in time. I understand your point, well taken, and we'll do what we can on that.
And let me again reemphasize, it's nice that everybody else is getting a slice of the pie. How much of the slice of the pie are we getting, and how much of the slice of the pie is our representation getting? That's what I'm looking for. Local, what's going to happen in this county? I understand it's a statewide issue, and all the other counties will participate or they won't, and they'll do their own thing or they won't. But what's it costing my constituents to get this settlement? That's all I'm saying.
Gotcha.
Okay. Any other questions, commissioners? All right. I will close this item momentarily. Madam Clerk, would you please call public comment?
We have Mark Newman here to speak.
Good morning again, commissioners. For the record, Mark Newman. When you guys talk about not sure exact amount of money, when it says $32,231, 37.14. That sounds pretty exact to me on the amount you're going to be getting. It doesn't say anything as a your behalf. Is that after the lawyer fees or prior to the lawyer fees? If we do end up deciding on this, I would hope that you put all that money towards rehab centers, because that's where it really should go. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. $32,231,037.14.
That sounds pretty exact.
That's the state number. That's a state number. Okay. Okay. Madam Clerk, is there anyone else signed in?
There is not.
Okay. Mr. Large and Mr. Edwards, what is it that you would like from us today to move this forward? It says for possible action.
The proposed recommendation is to approve the agreement between the state of Nevada and approve execution of the Walmart settlement participation form.
Okay. Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to make the motion.
Go ahead.
Move to approve the settlement between the state of Nevada and Walmart and approve execution of the Walmart settlement participation form for distribution of monies to Washoe County pursuant to the One Nevada agreement.
Have a motion. Do I have a second? Good. Okay, Commissioner Herman. Okay. I have a motion by Hill, second by Herman. We have asked for public comment. We have had discussion. Is there any other discussion on the part of the board? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Please affirm your votes. Any? Motion carries unanimously. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Large. That takes us now to item number 10. Mr. Manager.
Item 10 is a recommendation to approve a cross-fund, cross-function budget appropriation transfer total of $1,434,115.58 from the other restricted fund to the homeless fund for budget alignment and organizational restructuring and additional transparency of homelessness related revenues and expenses, and direct the Comptroller's Office to make the necessary budget appropriation and cash transfers. Net impact is 0.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions on this? Commissioner Clark.
This is basically a bookkeeping issue, it looks like to me, but the question I need to ask, and the constituents ask, and the taxpayers and the voters and the county, the people out in the county, what are the outcomes, and where can we see the impact of this money? What's really taking place here? Do we have any statistical information about the outcomes of this money?
So, Commissioner Clark, we didn't include that for this particular item. I know we've been trying to get you over to the CARES campus so that we can get you an onboarding. That information has been presented to this board on pretty much a quarterly basis. I think Dana is scheduled to come back at your next meeting, if I'm not mistaken, in March, but where you will see outcomes and where the money is going, what it's being used for.
Very good, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, commissioners? Madam Clerk, do we have any public comment?
We do not.
Okay, I'll close public comment, bring it back to the board. What's the desire, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, move to approve as outlined in the staff report.
Second.
I have a motion by Hill, second by Garcia. We have asked for public comment. Is there any other discussion on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Manager, that takes us to item number 11.
Item 11 is discussion and direction to staff regarding legislation or legislative issues proposed by legislators by Washoe County Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District or by other entities permitted by the Nevada State Legislature to submit bill draft requests or such legislative issues as may be deemed by the chair of the board to be of critical significance to Washoe County.
Okay. How would you like to handle this, Mr. Manager? I know I see...
So we have Cadence Matijevich here with us this morning, and I believe each of you has an updated legislative update.
Commissioners, what would you like us to do on this? Would you like to have any updates directly by staff or just ask questions of staff? I've kind of looked at this. I mean, right now it's in the parlay. And when I mean parlay, I don't mean up parlay. I just mean they're going back and forth right now. A lot of this stuff is just in discussions. We'll have to see how votes occur. But what's the desire today? Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to say thank you so much, Ms. Matijevich, for testifying in support of the EIP program for transportation in Tahoe. I was not able to make that meeting because our board meeting was happening at the same time. So having the county say, yes, this is good for all of us, it was really awesome. Thank you for doing that. And then I was hoping we could discuss the I-80 bill that Story County is running. They want to do a safety corridor, and that affects so many of our constituents commuting to work. And so I just want to get that on the radar and see, is that a bill that we want to support? How can we support them with investments on that, on I-80? But no, I think that we're well represented at Carson City, and I'm very excited to see what we can get done this session. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Do you need staff to answer any questions?
I don't think so. That I think if it makes sense, we should support that corridor infrastructure support for Story County, but because it's our people too out there. So
I'm still a firm believer that light rail is the best way to deal with that.
Oh my God, that would be a dream. Let's just add that to their request.
That's my hope, is light rail. There's service already going out there.
So,
for
Mr.
heck's
Chair,
sakes.
may I suggest, if at the pleasure of the Vice Chair and the rest of the commission, maybe we tee that up for discussion next week and we can review for you the provision. I've met with the county manager over there to review it, but we should probably do an overview for you so you can understand the contents of the bill.
Yeah, and look, I'm supportive of this also, but, you know, everybody knows, and I don't want to get too deep in the weeds here, I-80 corridor is going to be, that's a tough fix going through the canyon. It's a tough fix. I mean, you got to, there's a lot of blowing out of rock that's going to happen. So, you know, what's the shortest path forward, and what do we support in Carson City? And I know that the governor has. I was standing at Tesla when he made the statement and supported dealing with the I-80 corridor. So I look forward to having this conversation in a little deeper fashion. Commissioners, any other questions for staff, or any questions on anything that is on the legislative update? Okay. It is styled for action. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comment on this item?
We do not.
Okay, I will close public comment, bring it back to the board. Commissioners, do we want to just, what do you want from us, Mr. Edwards? Just accept it or move on?
I think you could do either one. You could accept it if you want. Its direction to staff is what it is. So, if you're satisfied that the comments that were made provided enough direction, then I don't think you need to do a motion.
Okay, all right. I think staff knows what's going on. I'm seeing an affirmation with a head shake. Okay, that takes us to item number 12. Mr. Manager.
Item 12 is public comment. Comment heard under this item will be limited to 3 minutes per person and may pertain to matters both on and off the commission agenda. The commission will also hear public comment during individual action items with comment limited to 3 minutes per person. Comments are to be made to the commission as a whole.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Madam Clerk, would you please call public comment?
Mark Newman.
Welcome.
Good morning. For the record, Mark Newman. I just want to thank all you guys. As you appointed me to the Senior Services Citizens Advisory Board, I've been going to all of the different CAB meetings throughout Washoe County and letting the people know at the CAB meetings what's available for the seniors. And I have seen each and every one of you at the CAB meetings. And Manager, Mr. Brown, I have seen you at every single one of them. Dedicated man. You guys have all done a great job. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
There's nobody else signed in.
All right, we will close public comment. We'll bring it back to the board. Mr. Manager, item 13.
Item 13 is commissioners, county managers' announcements, reports, and updates to include boards and commissions updates, requests for information, or topics for future agendas.
Mr. Manager, do you have any such items?
Mr. Chair, I would just point out, maybe the commission heard this on the news this morning, but NDOT is going to be having a listening session, I guess, or a public participation session on the on the 395 corridor. It starts actually today online. People can reach it by going to 395nevada.gov. You can actually file comments. You can. There's other content that's made available to explain what their plans are for 395. I just thought I'd mention that because we have seen, I think, some encouraging signs since this governor has taken office that his director of NDOT is understanding our issues here in Northern Nevada, certainly with the I-80 corridor, and now they're taking a look at 395. So I would encourage you that the session goes on for about 2 weeks till the first week of March. We will put that out on our social media and so forth so that folks know about it, but it's starting today.
Okay. Yeah, she's got her hands full. She's out there. There's no question about that. Okay. Commissioner Clark, have you signed in?
Thank you. I wanted to bring up yet again the lack of a better name for it, the Dandini project that's going to be right near the sheriff's training area. Again, we talked about daycare desert that developers willing to. I'd just like to get that on the agenda as soon as possible. I guess find out more about that. I don't want to go into detail. I don't want Mr. Edwards to get after me for talking too much about that, but I'd like to see that on the agenda as soon as possible. Next, I'd like to talk about what Mr. Church brought up about the gas tax. I mean, part of the reason that I want this looked at and see if there's anything we can do about it is, you know, this really hurts the working poor. With the price of fuel up, it's just so damaging to people that have to worry about buying their prescriptions or food or paying their rent. It's just, I can guarantee that if the voters who voted for this knew exactly how it would play out. If you went and asked 1,000 people today, you pick the random gas stations, you would get nobody wanting to vote for this. This open-endedness of this situation is just so burdensome on people that are just trying to put food on the table. So I think we need to figure out a way to slow this down or cap it or figure out a way to change this in some way that's beneficial to the citizens. Every morning I watch the news and it tells about the statewide price of gas and the national price of gas. In the United States, you know, anywhere else in America you can buy gas for $1 a gallon cheaper. Nevada's $1 more, and then Washoe County's on top of that. So I mean, we're on the top of all the wrong lists, and that's one of them that we shouldn't be the top of. It just hurts working people. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, anyone else? Okay. Mr. Edwards, did you follow up with Commissioner Clark on RTC 5 and some of the opinions that have been written?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Commissioners, if there is no one else, we are adjourned.